For now you walk amongst the unknown, but soon you four shall return. What's up, guys? Open so here, and here we are to do a nice, juicy, hefty, scrumdiddlyumptious little ranking on how excited I am for certain members of the Four Knights of the to return to the narrative of Four Knights of the We have four separate characters, four titular characters in comparison to the seven, and we have, I think, what now is the longest time skip in the series outside of the end of series 10-year time skip from the original series. So in the duology, I believe this 2-year time skip is the most hefty one we've had, and thusly 2 years is a lot of time for our rather young cast to grow. Remember, there were 16 in part 1, so now they're all going to be 18 with the exception of maybe one man, depending on whether or not he ages. I don't know, that's kind of a funny question of itself. So I'm expecting massive changes, massive development, so I want to do a nice little ranking before they all return to tell you who I am the most excited to see. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into number 4. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me, and unfortunately I hate to do it to homegirl, but Gawain has to go to the bottom of this list, and there are a couple reasons why. Notably, this isn't out of any disdain for the character. In fact, I'd say if I were to do a ranking of the four knights as characters right now, like I were to hypothetically record another video right now that has to deal with my feelings on the characters after part 1, who knows, maybe that's in the works. But with that being the case, if I had to talk about Gawain as a character exclusively, she'd probably go higher than you think. But for her excitement, like how much I'm itching and scratching to see her come back to the narrative, I want her to come back. Obviously, clearly, one of my favorite characters that's introduced in the second part of the duology, though admittedly they are quite sussy. Not even sussy. They're the imposter. Notably, I would pretend that they're sussy, but if you've read the Four Knights manga with both of your eyes open, which presumably we all do, yeah, Gawain's a demon. More of a demon than Tristan will ever be. Specifically towards Isolde. Luckily enough, Anne's been able to escape most of it, but specifically towards Isolde. So yeah, Gawain's a bit of a demon. But the main reason I'm not actually, foaming at the mouth, itching, scratching to see her is mainly because of two things. One, she's the knight we overall get the least exposure to. The least exposure to. I think even if you were to just count the amount of time that we've had Lance as Lance and completely cut all of the time we've had with him as Sin, and just do Lancelot only time, I still think Lancelot would have a collective more amount of screen time over all of part 1 than Gawain ever did. Tristan, despite being introduced only in I think either late 40s, early 50s, we've had bro for a hot minute now. We've seen a whole lot of him, his journey, his character development, we understand his background, all the stuff like that. For Lancelot, once again, we had Sin plus Lance, and Percy's our main character. We have so much more time spent with these other characters that naturally I'm going to be more attached to them. And as a byproduct of not only the attachment I currently have to the characters, it's also the fact that Gawain only just recently started acknowledging people as friends. So, her connections interwoven with the rest of the cast is also a lot more feeble. Remember, she met Percy, Lance, Kion, Isolde, and Jade in universe, a week and a half ago. She barely knows anything about these characters. Meanwhile, while a knight like Percy has connections to his whole platoon plus Lance, Lance has connections to the entire Percy platoon plus Percy, and Tristan has connections to the entire Tristan platoon plus Lance. Gawain, she has connections to Isolde. Not entirely legal connections, but she has connections to Isolde. That's about it. Notably, we do know she's an active part of the narrative. She's been mentioned. She's the one that gave Sylvain the magic carrots, which allowed him to grow into Giga Sylvain, the Pegasus form. But outside of that, we don't really have much for her that's interesting on a character level to come see. She still has a lot of work to do, character development-wise, in developing character bonds with other characters. We have her opinions on some characters, like she doesn't like Kion, but outside of me on a good day, who else likes Kion? So realistically, Gawain on a character front just doesn't really excite me. It doesn't really oh no, I need her back right now. Another thing is that in comparison to a lot of her contemporaries, I feel like there's not as much interesting to see on the return. What do I mean? Power-wise, I kind of, at the same time, know none of her kit, yet all of her kit. She's just the wielder of Dawn. Or, you know, another variation of Sunshine. Or whatever piece of it, whatever that ends up being. Because notably, she seems to be an artificial creature. So, with that being the case, we know it's not exactly Sunshine. But so far, it operates just like Sunshine, except it's even worse than Sunshine. Presumably, she may have a more extensive lifespan, because, you know, Sunshine isn't consistently active like it was with Escanor. Who knows, she may end up being more powerful than Mael. Because Mael's I'm kidding. But, like, maybe she'll end up more powerful than Mael. We know that her Sunshine actually does change her body in comparison to Mael's, which we never see it do. So, in terms of that, I've seen almost everything Sunshine has to offer. And while sure, she can definitely come back with magical infusions to Sunshine, things that Escanor and Mael could have never done, I feel like I kind of know all that. And at the same time, I don't think she's the one to really, like, develop in an interesting way power-wise off-screen. Like, notably, unlike almost every other character who has a built-in mentor figure and or other character interactions I'm excited to see, Gawain kind of doesn't have that. Who is she training under? Vivian? No, she ain't. What other mages do we have? Merlin? Unless they found Merlin off-screen. That's not a thing. Escanor? He's gone! Mael? Maybe, but it doesn't even seem like Gawain knows that. Or at least, once again, from what little information we have of her, once again, a byproduct of us just not knowing the character for that long, we just have no idea who she knows, what she knows, who she could train under. There's nothing. And while there are definitely other characters who are also in a, oh, maybe we don't know who can train them scenario, we have general ideas. We have loose prospects. Some of these characters may not even need to train, but they could have character interactions and character development off screen and come back with more interesting malice due to the connections they have to other characters. Gawain has so much that can be done post Timeskip. In part 2, definitely, I want to see her cook, but at the moment, I just don't really got nothing. Everything that has to come from Gawain pretty much is, I'm not going to say impossible to establish in the Timeskip, but like, if she pulls out a new spell, unless she specifically specifies, oh, I learned this over the Timeskip, or I didn't know this before, or 2-year training period, okay, she should have done that pre-Timeskip. If she whips out, Passionate Sun again, you could do that pre-Timeskip. If she comes back buff, you could do that pre-Timeskip. Unless she suddenly gets like a massive growth spurt and goes from like this big to gigatall, and like consistently stays gigatall, because that's the big thing. Her buff form, her Escanor Day form, is very, very rare. Unless that gets a development, even though we've already seen that though. That's the thing. So she'd have to need a growth spurt in base to be a fundamentally different character on a design front, and overall, maybe not really a power front though. And she would need her buff form, even though the buff form is something we've seen before. Gawain, she's not bringing a lot to the table, you know what I mean? So ultimately, as excited as I am for her return, it's just not the most excited on multiple different levels. So unfort. Let's move on to number 3. I hate to do it to my son, my youngest child, my baby boy, but you know who I gotta put at number 3. It is but the Knight of Death, Hope incarnate, and now the one who has given into despair, Percival, the child, or the false child of Ironside. So, the main reason Percival's number 3, and not number 2, or number 1, despite being literally our main character, you know, obviously, well, mentally, he literally, you know, left the plot for a little bit. Why aren't you most excited to see him back? It's because he's left the plot. And that means any 2-year time skip developments he can have, either A, have to be with characters who I don't really care too much about, aka the rest of the life spirits, that's more interesting on a lore front rather than a character front, or B, they all have to happen post time skip. That's the thing. One of the biggest reasons you do time skips is to introduce character abilities, get to character development, expand character dynamics, all that off screen. You don't have to take up chapters or time, release schedule, anything doing that. That's why you do time skips. But with Percy just being gone, unless it's revealed that he's been like haunting our main cast, following them around in life spirit form and trying to communicate with them and trying to apologize or anything like that, which I highly doubt will happen, he's kind of just been in a blank point, a blank spot for 2 years. And sure, do I believe he'll come back stronger? Absolutely. He's most likely going to get a further, more advanced and better understanding of his life spirit capabilities. Maybe we'll finally see him use Despair Magic actively. Maybe we'll finally see him grow a little bit if he comes back and manipulates the flesh or the vessel in any war, or if he even develops a new vessel for himself, considering we don't fully understand how life spirits work. On a power front and on an ability front, Percy, through the roof. Absolutely. He could come back with 15 bajillion trillion on non-nillion powers. And that's one of the more exciting things for me. It's the only reason he kind of ranks above Gawain. Because he has one of the issues that Gawain does. In the sense that, sure, he has a bunch of character dynamics. Meaty amounts of them. Juicy, scrundilomptious amounts of them. He has character dynamics with his whole platoon, character dynamics with Tristan, character dynamics with Lance, character dynamics with Gawain. He has everything. He even has character dynamics with Kion. The only one he doesn't have character dynamic with is, like, Isolde. Because they, like... Do they speak outside of their first encounter? I don't even think so. So, like, the only one who he doesn't have direct character ties with is Isolde. The thing is, those things are in a deadlock. The only things that are not in a deadlock are the emotions of his friends, but once again, it's something that can only happen post-Timeskip, when he comes back. I already see the seeds that Naka was planting around Percival's resurrection. Like, I can see the resentment, the anger, some of the fury that lingers deep within the hearts of his friends, whether it be Donnie or Anne, because those are the only two we've gotten back so far. But yeah, of course, they're feeling some type of way, but they can't hash that out without Percy being there. So when he comes back, that's something that'll happen, but that's not something that can happen during the 2-year time skip. There's no character progression, once again, outside of characters who I kind of don't care about. So Rula and Du, very interesting on a lore perspective. The whole idea of life spirits is super duper amazing, interesting, next level, cool. I don't care though. Who are you? You're just a random bucko. I don't care about you. And that's the main thing. We have so little time with Zorula and Du as a character, even relative to Gawain. Like, think about it. I think Zorula and Du speaks, if you combine all their panels together, maybe for a total of like 2 chapters. I can at least give Gawain more than that. I can at least, like, and don't get me wrong, I find the hive mind idea of the Great One and all the, once again, the lore implications behind life spirits, the fact that Percy is a life spirit, and the fact that Ironside managed to manipulate and drag him out. He's supposedly a very powerful life spirit that would make Deirdre immortal with the same body, like all that, all that's juicy, squimdly, is fat and tickly. Why tickly? Why would it be tickly? I don't know why it's tickly. But with that being the case, it is all amazing on that lore perspective. On that power perspective. Once again, I'm very excited to hopefully see him have Despair Match, or even an evolved version of it. Maybe he has an AoE life train. One of the biggest weaknesses we saw of Despair Percy pre-time skip in part 1 was the fact that he had to reach up, he had to get all up on you in order to start draining that life juice. Maybe he will truly become the Knight of Death in the sense that he can just kind of choose. Oh, you're in the general vicinity, in a similar vein to something like Bond's Hunter Festival, where it's just like, oh, you're here? Sorry, bucko, you're fallen. And he just goes full. And suddenly every single living being outside of the ones he chooses to live immediately perish, and he absorbs all their life force. It gets way stronger. Maybe he gets an evolution of hope magic in some way, shape, or form. We've already explored a lot of hope magic, though, so I'm not entirely sure how much you could add to that, but who knows? Maybe, well, then again, we've seen him buff his friends before. I don't know. Something like that. Maybe age them, maybe de-age them. Who knows what kind of different abilities Percy can develop. On the abilities front, he's one of the craziest in my opinion. In fact, on the sheer abilities front, despite us knowing all the magics of the 4 knights, we know Gawain has Dawn, we know Percy has, it's legally named Hope, interesting enough. We know Tristan's is Nova, and we know Lance's is Hazy Moon. We know all their magic names, but Percy, once again, he has the deepest depths we can kind of immediately dive into on a surface level. You can definitely make arguments for other characters having more interesting power sets going overall, and they make a whole ranking video about that too. But in terms of just Percy, powers is all I'm getting. And like a new character design, I guess. If he grows, but who knows? Maybe he'll have the same one. Once again, it's a question whether or not he's going to possess the original vessel of that fallen prince, that lost child. If he does possess that one, if he does get all up in that prince's gut, not like that. Not like that. But if he does get inside that original body, then he's not going to have aged unless he spontaneously ages it up, like Sariel spontaneously aged up their host when they were inhabiting a random human vessel. If we get something like that, then maybe we can see something juicy. But with the whole idea that Percy's most likely stagnant at best, maybe developing somewhat inside the Great One, or alongside the Great One, or is the Great One, or whatever like that, he's going to come back most likely with a similar character design, at best maybe a new fit, and some new abilities. Everything has been put on pause for the 2 years time skip for Percy, though. Unless it's revealed otherwise, right now, just based on the fact that he is gone, he got by himself, admittedly, but he got. I'm just not seeing the vision for an interesting Percy time skip outside of his powers. All the character stuff has to wait. All the dynamic abilities have to wait. We have to see them all be shown afterwards. And that's kind of whack for me, in my opinion. So, unfortunately, Percy, you're my boy. My youngest baby boy, my sweet son. as Gelda said, my bouncing baby boy. But on Fort, broski, you deleted yourself from the server. I'm not that excited to see you come back, even though I know it's going to happen. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into number 2. Please, I'm begging you, do not kick me out of the Lancelot fan club. Now here's the thing, right? Lancelot, the son of the fox's son of greed, the son of the queen, not the queen, I guess the queen of Benwick, but the princess of the fairy realm, nephew to Meliodas, the dragon's interact, all that juicy stuff, the strongest of the 4 knights of the Ababalaba. You know Lancelot is Himothy. He's about that life. He's definitely down for it. You saw how he did Mortlock. Don't even hesitate. He said, yeah, and then he just immediately deleted Mortlock from the server after Percy deleted himself from the server. But unlike Percy, I don't see Mortlock getting a res. So with that being the case, Lancelot, you know he's going crazy. Quite literally. And that's the thing I'm most excited to see when he returns. The fact that Lancelot has had nothing but time, nothing but minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, 2 of them, in order to reflect over all that hatred, all that negativity, all that sadness caused by the loss of his own baby brother. Now see, that's the thing. With Percy, his whole character, beep, put on pause. We ain't gonna know nothing about that till post Timeskip. For Gawain, very little character, well, not little. Yes, little. Very little character dynamics, very little character interaction. You know, it's not too bad, but it ain't the best. You know what I'm talking about? But Lancelot, broski. Bro's got connections to everybody. He got connections to Anne. He got connections to Donnie. He got connections to Nasian. Probably some outwardly connection, well, soft connections to Kion. Maybe even a little bit to Iso. You know, he got connections to, well, okay, Kion and Iso are very much a stretch. But at least he got connections to Tristan. He got connections to Mel. He got connections to Bonnie. He got connections to Elaine. He got connections to Elizabeth. He got connections everywhere. Might as well be Naruto Storm connections. Gosh darn it. He has connections up, left, down, right, left, right, left, right. And the thing is, with 2 years, we've already gotten a hint, a whiff, a taste from his father. And Lancelot came back and he was in his feelings. That boy was singing, not breakup songs, because I don't know. I'm trying to think of what songs you listen to when you lose someone you deeply care about. I don't know. I try not to listen to any negative songs because that just makes it worse. But Lancelot was going through it. Bond explicitly says this. He's like, hey, broski, you the reason, when he's talking to Ironside, you the reason my son came home on sad, is you? I bet I got something for people like you. And he immediately had something for people like Ironside. So, obviously, slamming it down on the table, rubbing your face in it a little bit, it's very, very clear that Lancelot underwent some sort of character shift. And that character shift has had 2 whole years to stew. Notably, the Lance we see come back to Benwick in Bond's flashback is very specifically a fresh off the Timeskip Lance. Fresh off of it. Literally, maybe in the first month at most. He probably lost Percy, left the demon realm, went back to his mom and dad, and was like, hey, don't give me a minute. Let me just go cry in my room for a bit, because I lost my homeboy, and I can't cry in front of the other people. That's good stuff. That's good character writing. I'm very interested to see how that changed him. Especially considering the hint of him hypothetically betraying everyone in Guinevere's dream and being the one to strike down his own father. There's a whole bunch of intrigue right then and there. With the idea that Lancelot, so consumed by madness and fury, maybe even enraptured by the idea of Camelot, just for the fact that he could hypothetically get his brother from another mother back, he could get his master back, and who knows, if he were to strike down his father, get his father back in his own sick, twisted way, using the illusions and dreams and tangible lies of Camelot. Who knows what he could get up to? He could get Guinevere back too. Ah, man, I'm still not rocking with Lancevier. If they were just the same, if you could have just made Guinevere 4, just make them the same age. There's no reason that Guinevere had to be 12. Whatever. But with that being the case, Lancelot has so much to show for on a character writing level when he returns. He has so much because of how much negativity has been stewing in that man for the past 2 years. The man has been nothing but using his power. I'm presuming, I'm going to take a guess, he's been probably causing hammock, ham and cheese sandwich. He's been going crazy. See? That's what happens. That's how much happened. He's been ripping out people's throats, tearing out tongues, ripping out eyeballs. He's been going crazy. I know for a fact that man has been running house all throughout Camelot the moment he invaded in there. And he's one of the only ones that can run in solo. So you know he's absolutely causing havoc. Dropping knights left and right, getting people in and out. He's moving. Once again, because he's going to be fueled by that purpose. And I'm interested to see how that affects his character dynamics with other characters. No, he's not with Donnie and Anne. You know, his two friends that were friends alongside him, he's not there. He left them be. How strained is that relationship now? Nasians, once again, we don't know where Nasians is, but that was a connection. Lord. That was a connection that they had. What does it feel like then? Two people who deeply cared about Percy. Obviously, Donnie and Anne definitely deeply cared about Percy, but you can see by Lance's reaction to Percy getting got that was like losing a family member for Lancelot. And Donnie, once again, he cared. And so did Anne. Anne also loves Percy. But Nasians feel some type of way about Percy. So how that dynamic evolved, considering they both lost someone they cared for in two fundamentally different ways. How is Lance and Tristan's dynamic doing right now? Considering there was already the inferiority complex that Tristan had revolving around Lance, how does he feel with Lance being so motivated? So once again, this is all headcanon. Who knows? Maybe Lance isn't motivated. Maybe he's been sitting up in his mom and dad's room just... Boy... So my baby, bro. But that's the thing. There's so much interesting stuff that could happen on a character level for Lance, and I'm super excited to have him back. So you may be wondering, why is he not number one, Pencil? I can't have him get any stronger. All right, that's the one thing that's holding him back from taking the top spot. The thing about time skips is that one way or another, they're supposed to make a character in a battle manga stronger. Look at the Donners. Donners are struggling to lift up like a boulder, Meligaland. Now he's out here lifting up whole little mini islands. Bada bing, bada boom. And, she barely understood what her magic was. Now she got a magic name, and her fencing ability has increased. That's fantastic. Presumably, Gawain has gotten better with magic. Presumably, Tristan's going to be stronger. Presumably, Percy's going to get stronger. Presumably, even Kaya and Isolde, everybody else who's alive is looking to get a few more gains in. They're going to be hitting the gym a little bit. But Lance can literally not hit the gym. I want to remind you, just in case you've forgotten, if you take Nanashi's statement that he got from Arthur at face value, Lancelot pre-time skip, with no weapon, was already stronger than Demon Mark King Mel. Pre-time skip, y'all. Give that man 2 years motivation and a dream, plus he has, I forget it's something deer. He has Tranquil Deer, something like that. Tranquilize the deer. That's what he's going to be doing every single night. It's going to be deer, because the man literally has a sacred treasure now and was already pushing strongest sin level. Pre-time skip, no sacred treasure, just hands. The most powerful, skilled, and strong warrior that Arthur had ever seen. Out of all the seasoned warriors Arthur's fought and/or witnessed, that includes Demon Mark Mal. Nanashi gave us that statement, Lance went to the top. And don't get me wrong, I'm not exactly mad at Lance getting stronger. I'm not even too nettled about I'm just worried about the balancing of the rest of the cast. Because clearly, a whole cast didn't suddenly become 7 Deadly Sin level. It would just be Lance. But Lance was already 7 Deadly Sin level. How much are we going to take him? And notably, he was top 7 Deadly Sin level, if you go with the Nanashi statement. Bro was already up there. He was in the clouds. So you're telling me you want him to give 2 years to get stronger on top of his sacred treasure, but the only one in the crew to actually have a sacred treasure outside of Gawain with a little bit of Rita? I'm sorry. I can't really endorse that. Though I know it's most likely going to happen. Notably, we don't know if he's going to grow wings, like his uncle and his mother before him. Presumably he can. He does not necessarily need wings. He can transform into a fairy form. But that could be a thing that's going to give him amps. He could get an understanding of Tranquil Deer. He could actually get a sacred treasure that works for him over the 2-year time skip. He could meet the boot. That's the thing. Lance getting stronger. As much as a Lance hype beast as I am, and as happy as I am that Lance is so Himothy, I'm a tiny bit concerned. About him getting any stronger. I'm fine with him getting new abilities. I'm fine with him stacking his kit with more stuff, whether that be with more transformations, like a demon transformation or a goddess transformation, whether that be with, who knows, maybe develops telekinesis or something like that. More nature control, all that. Heck, even more light manipulation other than just Shining Road or whatever else, the reveal of more of what Hazy Moon does. All that's fantastic. You can definitely set that up over the 2-year time skip, but I'm kind of scared of raising his stats anymore. Because in pre-time skip, Lance is like a level 95 character running around with, well, really, before they met up with Tristan and the rest of that crew, it was like a level 95 character running around with a bunch of level 10s and a level 20. And then Tristan got introduced, and like at his peak power, he's like a level 50. And then there's still 45 levels between him and Lance. Pre-time skip. And that was pre-Sacred Treasure and everything. Now he's got a Sacred Treasure, I can't let Lance get any stronger without beginning to ask questions why he doesn't just backpack the narrative. Why not? Why not, bro? So that's my only reason why he's number 2 and not number 1. I'm worried about him getting stronger. But on every other level, from character to ability to all that, I am super duper excited. But of course, we made it to this point. So I think you and I both know who number 1 is. Now I know some of y'all are going to be shocked. Some of y'all are going to be bamboozled. Some of y'all are going to be like, what? Pencil Man! Ain't you the number 1 Tristan hater on the block? Don't you not like this man? Don't you think he's fodder, underwhelming, a fool, an idiot, a waste of opportunity and character? Not really. I'm just a little bit harsh on the kid. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry. He has high expectations from his dad alone, not to talk of his mama. But Tristan, Leonis, the only one of our cast and crew to actually have a last name now I think about it. Percy doesn't have a last name. Gawain doesn't have a last name. Neither does Lance. So Tristan Leonis, the only one of our cast, our main cast at least, to have a last name. Bada bing, bada boom. But with that being the case, Tristan Leonis, he is my number 1 pick for who I'm most excited to see in the mighty and massive return of the 4 Knights of the Babylon. And let's talk about why. If you've noticed, with my previous entries, I've had some issues. With Gawain, it was the fact that, character-wise and power-wise, I'm not necessarily too intrigued with what she has to offer, what she could get over the time skip. Just not. For Percy, it was the fact that all of his character stuff would be paused, even if he's most likely to get a massive power boost upon his return. For Lancelot, I love all the character implications he could have and all the character development, but I kind of just don't want him to get stronger because I'm worried for the sanctity of the narrative. But with Tristan, he's the best of both worlds. I'm interested for him on a character front, and I'm interested for him on a power front. And I'm interested for every single character interaction he could have to get more power over the course of the 2-year time skip, and let's talk about why. First things first for the character. Tristan Leonis, man. For a character who has one of the most relatable drives and issues within the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse series, especially for our main cast, the whole idea of an identity crisis, man, that's just interesting to see. And considering what ended up happening under his watch, he's supposed to be, after his father, the next king of Leonis. He's supposed to take up the lead, take up the reins, and to simply watch Percival, one of his fellow knights, give up, fall before him, when Tristan could do nothing but watch. Oh, I know that's going to haunt him. All the power he had, all the understanding he developed, all that, just to see one of his own fall before him and there was nothing he could do about it. Oh, I know that'll be haunting, broski. I can feel it in my bones. Number 2, the fact that he's going to now feel like he needs to pick up the slack. Of course, this is well established, that he already had something of an inferiority complex to Lancelot. You obviously see this way back when Lancelot first appears to fight Arthur, and Mildred says, "Go get him, Lancelot," and Tristan's like, so you already know he had an inferiority complex. But at least he had the fact that, there are 4 of us. We can work together even if I'm not so powerful yet. And then you had his whole bonding moment with Gawain, and they high-fived, everything was going, and then Percy dropped. So Mr. Inferiority Complex over here now realized, oh no, I don't just have to make up the weight of myself being weaker than Lancelot, my best friend and brother from another mother. But now I also need to make up for the fact that we lost a whole other knight. Even if he was the weakest knight at the time, though, and debatable. I mean, it's hard to argue. Percy beat Gawain, he beat Pelgard, who is the same Pelgard that beat Gawain. But Gawain has arguably gotten more skilled and still has the teleport GG. But then again, Percy should be much faster than before this physical training, plus magic amps on top of it. I don't know, regardless of whoever you think is the weakest knight, both should still be weaker than a full power Tristan, but they shouldn't be that much weaker than regular Tristan. In fact, you can make arguments that Gawain and Percy are both stronger than regular Tristan, and even Goddess Tristan, maybe even a hybrid Tristan, depending on how you look at it. Depending on how you look at it. So, with that being the case, now Tristan's like, I have to pick up the slack for that and me. And of course, with Jade's End recently on his mind, and the fact that the threat that Camelot poses getting 10 bajillion times more real, now that the fact that they have no reason to fear the prophecy, considering in their mind the prophecy's cooked, Now, Tristan has to take that on his back. He needs to take on the guilt for the loss of Jade. He has to take on the fact that he now needs to double down and protect Kion and Isolde from a grisly fate, on top of what happened to Jade. And he has to take on the fact that now he feels responsible for not just the Percy platoon, but Lancelot, and himself, and his whole platoon. Everything weighing down on Tristan. That darkness seeping into his mind. I'm so excited to see it. Because he feels like a character who would be the most affected in terms of like, oh no, I need to take more responsibility for this. Oh no, I need to prove myself. Oh no. Like, you see it in Grudge of Edinburgh. You see it in Early Four Knights. You see it all the way up to now. Tristan is a character very heavily steeped in not only identity, but responsibility. He feels like he has certain roles to play. He feels like he needs to upkeep certain images. He's essentially a royal guy, and that's kind of what a lot of royalty is about, at least from what's commonly portrayed in media. And while Lancelot's also royalty, legally speaking, you can very much tell by Lancelot's own demeanor and how he travels and how he carries himself that he and Tristan are fundamentally different on that aspect. So now Tristan has all of that, all that extra beef to worry about on a character development level, on a character front level, and that's going to make it all the more interesting. Things will get all the more fun when it comes to seeing Tristan have to deal with all the extra weight that's going to be placed on top of him. And of course, in a similar vein to almost everyone else below him, except for Gawain, Pro's got dynamics on dynamics, around dynamics, for dynamics. Imagine, we won't likely see it because, you know, it's 2-year time skip unless we get a flashback to it. Who do you think had to tell Zeldris and Gelda that their bouncing baby boy perished? You think Lance told that? I think he dipped. I think he went straight back to the demon corridor. He made sure everyone got out safe and just dipped. He probably didn't tell nobody nothing. Tristan had to go tell his uncle, hey, sorry, we weren't strong enough. We weren't fast enough. Your child, gone. Who do you think has to go explain to Meliodas that the whole prophecy's done got cooked in a matter of seconds, minutes, while Tristan was right there? Tristan. He had to tell his daddy and his mama. Who do you think now the entire kingdom's going to look to for hope? And I'm talking about Leonis, especially with the world literally falling apart and it seems. Sure, they're going to look towards the 7 deadly sins, but they're also going to look towards their prince, Prince Tristan. Someone who could do nothing about the current state of the world, but it's going to be looked to try and fix it. The juiciness, the girthiness, the thickness of the plot writes itself. It's going to be so interesting to see Tristan struggle with that as a character, because he has no choice. And that's going to be super duper interesting. And you know what the beauty of a 2-year time skip is? I'll admit, I'm going to make a whole video talking about it. I'm disappointed with the Demon Lord arc. Sure, it was longer than I expected, but it was shorter than I changed my expectations to be. We got basically nothing out of the Demon Lord arc in terms of Tristan demon development. I'm lying. We got the whole self-acceptance thing with Gawain. But once again, that wasn't the cause of Zeldris. He didn't do any training with Zeldris or any of the other demons. I mean, kind of did training with the Testament Beast and, like, Schwartz and them. But still, that wasn't too much. But well, guess what we have now? 2-year time skip. More motivation, more determination, more guilt, more need to get power. Well, where can he get power from? Maybe his demonic half. Maybe he can train with Uncle Zell off screen. Maybe he can train with Uncle Bell off screen. Maybe he can visit the celestial realm and get his celestial gaze up. We may get the return of the Archangels. We may get the return of Mael. We could get the return of Elizabeth actually doing something. There's so much that can be cooked for Tristan on a character interaction level because, once again, he has the most branched out ties because he's literally a Nephilim. And sure, presumably he's going to face the same prejudice in the celestial realm that he faced in the demon realm. But that'd be interesting to see too, even if it is mostly off screen, because the power progression of Tristan is what I'm super excited to see. He's already shown that he's willing to dive into both powers. He's even shown he's willing to dive into a singular power in his darkness or his light. But seeing him develop ever further is going to be so interesting. Will he start adapting more of his parents' techniques? We see he uses some variations of them, some of Elizabeth's techniques, and we see he uses some variations of Meliodas' techniques, if not just verbatim, yank it out, full counter. So what else is he going to learn over the time skip? What else is he going to pull out? How much further is he going to evolve his Nephilim state? How much further is he just going to evolve his demon mark, or even Triskelion state alone? There's so much Tristan beef that can be laid on the table, and I'm willing to just because there's so much to offer, so much to see. We're living on the verge of a dream, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that because he has the perfect balance. Character interactions weak enough that power development of him will not break the narrative, and every single ability he would get is going to be interesting, even if it is just remixes of old abilities. But the beautiful thing is, he's a wielder of Twilight. the only natural wielder of Twilight that we know outside of Chaos, and Chaos Arthur himself. He's the only wielder of Twilight on the good guy's side. So that's a whole new unexplored power kit that we can see. Even if it doesn't result in Chaos magic, heck, just Twilight magic in of itself is going to be super interesting, considering what we see it do when Tristan just magically combines it right on the fly against the Testament Beast. Tristan has so much to offer on every single level that I don't want to say hate to admit it, because, I love my boy Lance, but I have to admit it. He's the one I'm the most excited to see. However, that is what I think. Please know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Who are you most excited to see? Who are you least excited to see? Leave your own list. I really want to read, talk about it, go into this, because we have a very limited period before they're going to start coming back. I can smell it on the horizon. Lance is going to just walk in the door one day in like chapter 140 or something like that, and we're going to see him all over again. So let's get the discussion started right here and now. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave Apocalypse Nights. Yeah, I said it. Apocalypse Nights in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. Now, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This would happen to be... Oh no. Where are they? Where are they? One moment. I should have prepared better for this. Ah! This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchia, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.